automatic pilots. I know you're probably wondering, well, what happened earlier? Well, I'll talk about that later before we end the stream.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3.
Kennedy ground alert.
Com 1, 128.
I don't want to. Airport information.
Com 1, 128.72. Com 1.
Generic Romeo Juliet.
Com 1, 128.72.
Kennedy ground FREDO MGLOBAL 09er Delta Whiskey Heavy with Sierra ready to taxi IFR.
Freedom Global 09er Delta.
I don't want to
Com 1,
hear you.
Kennedy
128.72.
Airport information. Sierra 01.
Well, I was
Com 1,
hoping to shut up
121.
the com, but
And hold short runway. For right.
they're busy here today, so
Charlie Alpha Mike Bravo Juliet cross runway. For left Juliet Zulu cross
I
runway.
guess.
Tree, 1 left,
Well, no,
Juliet
here's what I can do.
Tree.
I know what I'll do. We'll pause it.
Pause.
Options
Navigation off. Heat
Hold
off.
on,
Dancing
guys.
off. Taxi off. Scope off.
Currently highlighted. Social panel. Notifications. Assistance options. Activities. Button 1 of assistance options. Controls options. But general options.
General options.
General options screen. Graphic. Camera. Sound. Traffic. Button. Sound.
I think I can turn it down under
Use right stick up and
sounds,
down to
can't
scroll
I?
the section.
For HEC?
Press B to go
I
back.
think so, yeah.
Press X to reset
I
to
think
default.
so, yeah.
Press A to val graphics. Button. Search bar. Text.
The other
Main
thing
device
I
output selection
figured
systems
out,
default
if
device.
you don't want air
Communication device output
traffic
selection systems
involved,
default device. Button.
when you go into the
If you want to use another output for radio,
world map
headphone simulation.
under
Off.
flight
List with
conditions,
2 values. Headphone simulation.
then you
Applies a
set,
simulation of headphone acoustics that filter warning sounds in external view.
there's a
VHF
first
signal
option
degradation.
there
On. Active spatial sound.
for
On.
traffic, you
Convert
set
audio
it
to mono.
off.
ATC text to
The
speech
next
settings.
one
Azure.
is air traffic
music selection.
control, you set
Color
it
2.
to off,
ATC text
and
to
then
speech
you can
settings.
set your
Azure.
live weather.
List with music selection.
Oh, here we
ATC
And then
go.
text to
shut up
speech
air
settings.
traffic control.
Azure. List with 3
ATC
values. Music selection. ATC text to speech settings.
text to speech
Azure.
settings is set
List with
to
3
Azure
values. Offline. Use right stick
offline
off.
or
Use
off.
right stick up and down to scroll the
That
section.
would stop the ATC,
Yeah,
wouldn't
Press
it?
B to go back. Press X to reset to defaults.
I think so.
Press left trigger to menu decrease.
Let's see what
Press
that
right trigger
does.
to options menu. Page
Pause.
1 of 1.
Navigation on. Beacon on.
Currently
Dancing on.
highlighted.
Taxi on.
General
Scope on.
options. Button 2 of 4.
There we go.
113 PASL.
Yep, that shut it up real quick. Okay. So, alright guys, so I know you're wondering, you seen what's in the title, and you're like, oh man, you're saying something different about the FMC. That's because there is something different about it. And I believe he's got something else he's going to also share with us as well. So, for that said, I'm not going to load the chat yet, but I will after we're done going through stuff, and if people still here listening, you can, join in on the chat. Otherwise, send him a message. Go to, talkingflightmonitor.com and send your message that way or leave a comment. So, for that said, Andy, I'll let you start your puppy up here. Where do you want me to go? What do you want to talk about? Maybe you got. First of all, let's do this. Do you have any announcements about anything that you want to put out first?
Okay, so announcements. All right. This will be going out in the blog post on Sunday, but I'll mention it here now.
Okay.
Two things, two major things. First of all, TFM's anniversary flight is going to be during the first week of September. Preferably, I think it will be the first Saturday. I don't remember what the day is. But we've set it up for, I think it's the first or the second Saturday in September.
Do we have a flight in mind, or are we gonna
And so once we get those details finalized and stuff, then I can put them out. We do know what the flight is. It is going from Houston to Toronto, direct flight.
Okay, so Houston, Texas to Toronto.
Yep.
Very good. Okay.
The second thing that I'm going to put out is starting on August 2nd, well, technically August 1st, For probably about 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. There will be no to minimal activity on TFM. I mean, we're talking it's probably going to be dead for 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
And that is because I'm having foot surgery on August 2.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I
nobody
will
wants to
need
be programming.
recover.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll need to recover for a couple of weeks before I get myself back up on my feet and going again. So, aside from that, there really isn't any other announcements. So,
Okay.
just keep an eye out for the dates on the anniversary flight, 3rd-year anniversary flight. And keep in mind that starting in August for 2 to 4 weeks, I will not be doing anything with TFM.
Right. That makes sense.
So, aside from that, I think that is all the announcements that I have.
All right. Let me look here. Okay.
And yes, Brooke, if you're watching, I'm doing the dishes.
Yeah, dishes are being done. So, couple things I want to go over real quick. Short announcements that, and me and Andy's discussed this. We've had conversations about stuff. The first thing is you're going to start seeing a lot of short videos coming in. Now, you might be thinking, well, what's new about that? Well, we've decided, because the thing is, anything that's got to do with TFM, before I do anything, like that involves TFM like this, I go to Andy, I say, hey, here's what I'm thinking, this is what I want to do, what do you think? Because obviously, if it was something that he thought was silly or he didn't agree with it, then you're not going to see it. So we talked about doing some very simple, very short videos on all the how-tos. And some of you are going to say, whoops, who can't do that? There's always someone that can't do something. So I'm trying to think the best way to describe to them what kind of videos these would be. I guess they would be tutorials, I guess. I don't know, what do you call those?
How-to guides.
Some of them very short.
Tutorials.
Yeah. Some very short, and there might be some that might be a little longer. Like, if it requires, let's just say, for example, it had something to do with an ILS, then I'm going to involve the ILS, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Or we're going to show you how to do it, depending on what it is. So, be expecting that, because it needs, we need to have them videos out there. That way when we are doing live streams, if someone's got something they're not sure how to do, you don't got to watch a video for 2 hours to learn how to do something that takes 2 minutes. Because, for example, say, I don't know, Andy's doing a flight on BVI, and somebody wants to know how to do something. Well, he can't just stop in the middle of the air and say, okay, I'll show you real quick. He might have to say, well, you're going to have to wait until I get landed, or wait until I get to, so this will save a lot of time. For you, that is. So.
Yeah, because
Winfield Gardens North,
say for
United
an
States, 1.6
example, if let's say you're dealing with an ILS on landing, then the video would start at the point where you would start tracking the ILS. It wouldn't be this full half hour, 45-minute, 1 hour
Yeah, exactly.
setup, takeoff, cruise. It would start when the ILS starts to,
Yeah,
whenever
exactly.
you turn on approach mode.
Because and the thing to remember is something. If we didn't do it this way, we could be going through this whole flight to get to one like an ILS, and something go wrong with the sim, well, there went a whole hour, hour and a half wasted, and we didn't even get to show you what to do. So it makes sense. I think it's a good upgrade. I don't even know how to explain to them about documentation that they're going to see at some point. We are going to be working on that it needs to be out there. Because right now,
Yeah.
I don't know, how would you explain what we're going to do, Andy? Because
So documentation probably is going to be in HTML, and it will be available for download in TFM's download. So it'll be packed away inside of there.
yeah,
So when you install TFM, then you'll have your documentation in HTML format there. The key commands guides, or the tables, they'll be in HTML tables, and it'll kind of have like to do this, press this type of thing.
right.
And
Right.
so you might say report ASL, right bracket A,
Yeah.
type of thing.
Because, and the thing is, guys, if we don't do this, because here's the thing. Andy and Jason are so tied up in doing the actual programming and features and, all this other stuff, they don't really have time to do documentation. I've had more than one person say, is there any documentation? Well, not yet, but there will be. There will be. And it's going to be done in pieces, not, we'll let you know when it's done. It's going to be done in pieces, and, well, we will let you know when it's done too, but I'm just saying, it's going to take time. All the stuff that Andy's done, all the stuff that Jason's done, all them things are going to be in documentation if it's got to do with you doing something on flying with TFM.
Yep.
So it's a huge job, and I've stepped in and said, hey, you know what? I'll take it. And listen, if there's someone else that wants to help, by all means. I mean, Andy's not going to be like, no, you can't do it. We want to do it so we're working together here. Like Jason said, at the expo, if someone's got experience and wants to jump in on the project, by all means, if you're doing something that's helping, and it's, something that they want, they're not going to say, get lost. They're going to say, do it. So I'm doing it just to try to help out, because I've done a lot of tutorials, me and Declan both have, and I feel like we're kind of throwing ourselves against the wall doing those, because we could be doing, documentation that is going to be better, so we can just say, hey, go read this. It's there. Because technically, with TFM, by the time you read all the different things you can do, it's pretty much going to tell you how to do a flight. Because you got to know how to do all these different things, and these are all the different things that you do to do a flight. Now, maybe some of the procedures, might be stuff that might not be necessarily in documentation, but I mean, if we're talking about how to connect to the, ILS, well, that's part of the flight, and you're going to find that in documentation, and now you know how to do it. So, anyway.
Yep.
That's, something that's going to help out a lot. I don't have anything else beyond that as far as announcements, but just things to expect. It's a huge job.
I do have one other announcement. Yeah, I do have one other thing that needs to be mentioned. So we all know that P3D6 came out last week.
Yep.
And so we talked about it, and our official announcement is until PMDG can officially state that they can run their airplanes in P3D6, We will not be working on it.
Okay. I forgot all about that, yeah.
Yeah, we will not be working on P3D6.
And honestly, there's nothing that we're really missing as simmers in the BVI world that 6 is compared to 5. I mean, it's nothing drastic that, would make our life, 100% better if we had 6 compared to 5. So, I mean, at least that's my opinion on, maybe there are features I don't know about, but I don't think, as far as us being simmers, I don't think we're missing anything.
Mm-mm.
So, all right. Now on to the meatballs and cake. The main course and the dessert.
Dinner
right?
and just.
That's right. Dinner and
yeah,
dessert.
There you go.
So, Andy, I'll let you guide kind of what you talk about, and I'll bring it up like we always do.
Yep. All right, so hold on. There's been this concept over the past couple of years. I think it started back in the FSX days, where you had something called FS Join. And so FS Join basically is an app that will let two people in two different locations, say me in Virginia, John in Indiana, can hop into the same cockpit, control the same thing, and we can actually do captain, first officer stuff. Now, when people's done it in the past, it's been mostly by pure luck.
Yeah.
That it's been able to work. I've done it with FS Tramp. The problem is it would work, but then you have two copies of FS Tramp fighting against each other.
Yeah.
For control of the airplane. And TFM, there's only one FMC. So how's that going to work?
Right. Right.
In theory, you could have one person do the FMC, the other person do panels.
Well, good example
but
here.
It isn't very...
The last time, not to interrupt you, Andy, the last time that we did something with that program, me and Declan, I don't know if you remember this or not, we was on a live stream, me and Declan was flying, we got, everything was good, we got to where we were starting our descent. I was in charge of descent, basically. I was the one doing the flaps. My connection dropped completely. Well, guess what? Declan ran into some problems because now I'm gone and he's got to land. And I don't even remember if he got landed, to be honest. But it definitely, it causes problems. That's the point. So, go ahead, Andy.
And so you have TFM, it's got an FMC, it's got native support for the PMDG airplanes. There's only one FMC. So, I mean, you could do panels, I could do FMC. It's okay, but it's not realistic between captain / first officer type of things.
Right, right.
So, earlier this weekend, there was a request to have both FMCs supported in TFM because then both people that are connected to the airplane have access to the FMC. And so it is now a reality. So now you can do both FMCs. You can
Springfield Gardens, New York, United States.
do the
1.6 nautical miles,
original,
48 degrees.
which is the left side with
Avionics master active.
right bracket or left bracket control C, and the first officer's FMC with left bracket control
Battery master off.
shift
Battery
C.
master active. Avionics master off.
So you can bring them up side by side on the same computer, and you can do different things. You can be looking at the waypoints listed in your flight plan
Avionics master
with
active.
one, and you could be setting something else up in the other one.
Avionics master off.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah. So you can do that. So like if you're on what is called your controls now for 2020. So now we could be connected to the same airplane in a session. I have my FMC, you have your FMC, and of course we have shared panels.
TFM is shutting down.
Right. I'm gonna
Folder room is stopped.
get
Team Talk
power
5 Classic
to
9:15.
this.
TFM Beta Dynamic Shortcut 13. Talk 5 Classic 9:15.
Use
TFM Beta Dynamic Shortcut 13. TFM GT Simming Files 10 of 15.
Okay, we need
Simming
power, and
files.
I don't want to go through the hole.
Talking Flight Monitor 10 of 10.
So let's load the regular TFM real quick. We'll take but a second.
Loading airport database. Current aircraft. TMDT 7.
Okay.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1. Microsoft.
And let me just
Panels
get...
preview. Level 0 left overhead. Left electronic. Left 1 1. Forward overhead. Left 1 center. Forward overhead expanded. Level 1 flight controls. Electrical to left expanded. 0 light. Battery selector combo. Avionics master active. Oxygen level 67%. Nose gear light on. Left gear light on. Right gear light on. Engine number 1 fuel valve light open.
Okay, there we go. That's all I need.
Cockpit panels.
And then
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.
we'll close this TFM.
TFM is shutting down.
TFM is shutting down.
And I'll load the
Run
other
dialog type documents. Documents select text. Documents. Items new list. MSF TFM file. Items new list. TFM 23.9 alpha 628. TFM 23.9 alpha 738. Items new list. TFM.deps.com40. TFM.dll4. Cut T control plus X. Items new. TFM.dll.config40. TFM.x40. Cut T copy rename share it. Delete pop-up window. Run as administrator. A2 open no enter. Run as administrator. Items new list.
Alright, here we go.
Sim brief support not loaded. Loading airport database. Airports database loaded. Total 41,141 airports. Current aircraft.
Did you guys just hear what that said? The TFM now tells you how many airports. I know it's 41,000 and something. I didn't catch the full number, but
TFM 23.
that's good to know.
TFM 23.9 alpha 7.
That's really
Modified
good to
TFM
know.
X45. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.
Okay, so we're setting
AC75
at
KJFK.
gate C here. I'm going to be doing a flight later. That's why I went ahead and just did it here, because I got to go from JFK to Atlanta. It's like an hour and 30, 40 minutes, something like that. But anyway, now you can continue, Andy. I got it loaded. You tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it.
Yeah. Okay. So if you do left bracket Control C for left side FMC.
Menu dialog FMC display menu 1. Less FMC less rec grader 2. Less DLNK3. Less DFDA UPM DT4. Setup grader 5. FS actions grader 6.
Okay, so it does say FMC1, doesn't it? I believe it's what it said.
I didn't put that in there yet.
Oh, maybe it doesn't. Okay, I thought it did say FMC1. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Menu.
no.
Menu. Land 1.
No.
Less FMC less rec grader.
I didn't get a chance to put
System
it.
alt plus space.
I
Restore
will
move
be
M.
putting
Restore
it in
unavailable.
there,
System alt
though.
plus space. Restore unavailable. System alt FMC display at land 1. Less FMC less rec grader. Land 2. Less DLNK. Land 3. Less DFDAU. PM4. Setup
Now
grader.
you can bring up FMC2
TMDT4. Setup grader.
with left
System alt plus space.
bracket Control
Restore and close
Shift
C.
C.
System alt plus space. FMC display at red only. 95 feet ASL.
Oh, hold on.
Alternate line select keys active.
Let me fix one thing real quick.
TMDT setup. Low panel state. Land 3. Less Aerodom. 4. Less climb. Land 5. Less cold dart.
I just want to go
Low
to
panel. Land 4. Less hammer. Land 3. Less final. Land 2. Less cruise. Land 1. Less cold dart 2.
one more.
Low panel. Land. Low panel state 3/3. Land 1. Less taxi. 2. Land 3. Land 4. Low panel state. Land 5. 6. Less 5. Less runway.
Here, we'll do where it's running
Five.
fully. Well, taxi would work, wouldn't it? Or should I just do runway?
Yep.
For the CDU.
System alt. FMC display at red only. Alt plus home.
Taxi's fine
Okay.
because it's fully
Low 5.
powered
Land
and
4.
everything.
Land 3. Land 2. Land 1. Less taxi. CDU number 1 execute key available.
Okay, so we'll execute that.
Swap 1234. 50 on. Flex
There
5.
we go.
On menu. Engine number 1 at low pressure light off. Engine number 2 at low pressure light off. Number 1 ignition. Menu. Red left auto throttle disengage light off. Red num lock off. Red left auto num lock on. Red left auto throttle. Red left auto throttle disengage light on. Red right off. Microsoft Flight Simulate. Microsoft Flight. Red left auto throttle disengage light off. Red right auto throttle disengage light. Red left auto throttle disengage light off. Red right auto throttle disengage. Red left auto red left auto throttle disengage light off. Red right auto throttle disengage light off. Number 1 starter off. Number 2 starter off.
Okay, there we go.
Menu row 1 column 2 2 of 6. Menu dialog FMC display menu 1. Less FMC less rec grader 2.
Yeah, it said menu display 1 is
Menu.
what it says. When you
Microsoft
alt
Flight. Menu
tab,
row 1 menu dialog FMC display menu 1. Less
FMC menu display 1 is what it says. I don't know if that's what your intention was, but that's what it says. So you may go to the other one with what was the command?
Left bracket Control Shift C.
menu dialog FMC display menu 1. Less FMC less rec grader 2. Less DLNK.
Okay, yeah, it said the same thing for both of them. Okay.
Menu. 1. Less FMC less rec grader. Land 2. Less DLNK. Land 3. Less DFDAU. Menu row 1 column 2. Menu dialog FMC menu. Menu. Land 1. Less FMC less rec grader.
And there it is, guys. So that's
Menu row 1 column 2 2. Menu dialog FMC display menu 1. Less FMC less rec grader.
so now we have 2 FMCs. Now the cool thing
There's 2 of
is
them.
Menu row 1 cop. Menu dialog
I
FMC.
guess what I could do is go to right sub
FS actions.
5.
Brown. FS actions.
Let's go to fuel,
Fuel.
for
Fuel.
example.
Total of 1. 22,667 100. Scratch
And
with
we'll
plus
put-
escape.
I was just gonna say, go to
Put 30,000.
CDU1
FMC
ready.
display as red only alt plus 1. 20.
Update it. There we
Total
go.
LB at 1. 29,900.
Now look, 29,900 whatever. Now if I go to the other one, the FMC on the Copilot
Menu row 1 column
side,
207. Menu dialog FMC display menu 1. Less FMC less
Go to
greater 2.
right sub
FS action.
5.
Auto 2. Less ground 1. Less fuel services greater.
left soft
Fuel.
1,
Total LPST 1. 29,900.
there it is. It matches exactly what it
Fuel row 1.
does
Fuel dialog FM.
on this FMC. Now the nice thing is, which if you're flying by yourself, you'd never need both CDUs. So really, you don't really need to know, is this the first one or the second one? It's not critical, I guess is what I'm saying. Maybe he will title it at some point, but I don't think it's not, it wouldn't be critical in any way. Not that I mean, well, you know, here's how maybe it would be helpful though. If Andy was flying and I was co-pilot, it would be nice to know, I guess, if I'm using the co-pilot FMC. So I guess it would make sense, wouldn't it? Because otherwise, we're so used to flying with one, we might forget and be like, whoops, I did something I wasn't supposed to do. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
that's beautiful.
So now you have both of those. And
Let-
now
Let
on
me
the
ask you,
77 and the 40s.
like I say, what if you need 3 CDU or FMCs? Is that going to be an option?
Yeah, we're gonna support that. Yeah, we're gonna support that too. It
Okay.
might not come until the 77 is out for 2020.
Right,
but,
right. Yeah.
It will be possible.
Okay, yeah. Nice.
Now, here's the thing. I don't remember if I showed this. This has something to do with multiple FMCs. If you close the FMCs out, go to
Alright.
settings.
Oh, you mean just close them out all the way? Like close both of the FMCs?
Yep, close out.
Fuel dialog FMC display fuel total LPSTW. Microsoft
Yep.
Flight Simulator.
Okay, they're completely closed.
Alright, now go to settings.
So,
TFM settings dialog. Category preview.
okay.
Alright, go to aircraft.
Airports database 6 of 10 level 1. Aircraft 7 of 10 level 1.
Okay.
Alright, now tab around in that window and you're gonna see
Alright.
some
let's-
settings. They're
let's
new
take
ones.
a look.
Automatically announce aircraft switches and instrumentation checkbox checked.
Automatically announce instrument. Okay.
Read sim connect messages checkbox checked.
Resim connect messages.
Read flight following information checkbox checked.
Reflight following.
Ground proximity warning system. GPWS announcements checkbox not checked.
Ground
Read altitude every 1000 feet checkbox checked. Read information on approach checkbox checked.
ILS information
Read ground
on
speed periodically while on ground checkbox checked. Read autopilot instrument changes checkbox not checked.
Autopilot instrument changes. Was that already there or no? Yes. Or is that new?
No, yeah, that's old.
Oh, okay.
Read flight slope altitude checkbox not checked.
No,
Glide
that's
slope
old.
altitude.
Read localizer heading checkbox not checked.
Localizer heading.
Announcement CPU number 1 is ready for input checkbox checked.
Ah, here's
Read
the
localizer heading checkbox not
butter
checked.
and bread.
Announcement CPU number 1 is ready for input checkbox checked.
Announce when CDU is ready for input.
Read local announcement CPU number 1 is ready for input checkbox checked.
CDU number 1 is ready
Read
for
local announcement CPU
input.
number 1 is ready for input checkbox checked.
So,
Read local announcement CPU number 1 is ready for input checkbox checked.
so if you uncheck that, you're not going to hear that
Well,
announcement.
keep going. There's
Announcement
more.
CPU number 2 is ready for input checkbox checked.
Announce when CDU is
Yeah,
ready.
keep going.
Announcement CPU number 3 is ready for input checkbox checked.
Announce when CDU 3 is ready. Oh my gosh.
OK button.
Oh,
Yep.
that's...
So announce
Announcement
when
announcement announcement
CDU
number 1 is ready for
ready
input checkbox
for
checked.
input. Number 2 is ready for input, and number 3 is ready for
So
input.
as a pilot, and if Andy was my co-pilot, I would know when he's doing something because I would hear it. I'd at least know that he's doing something. It's like, okay, he is doing something over here. He's not just picking his toenails or nothing. I like that. That's good stuff, man. That's good. Yeah. a huge,
Yep.
huge bit. I mean,
So,
it's a big deal
that's-
to be able to do this now.
Yep. So now you can, like, just like any other sighted person, hop on your controls and do your flights.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, man. And we will be. I got to get with Declan. If for some reason, you know, me and him don't do something, me and Andy will do something here soon. I don't want to speak for Declan. I'm not saying he's not going to do anything because we did plan on it. But I just got to find out what his schedule is, you know, because obviously we're in a bit of a time difference here between, well, all of us. Me and Andy, you know, we're on the same, you know, but Declan's like, what, 5 hours ahead of us, 6 hours, 5 hours, something like that. So,
Yeah,
but
6, I think.
we'll be doing something real soon, though. I'm sure of that. So, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, so there's that. Now,
Springfield Gardens, New York, United States. 1.6 nautical miles, 48
thing
degrees,
that
Eastern
is
Standard Time.
now about an hour and a half off of the crest. Because you always make fun of me. I always got something new coming out. And so this next one is an hour and a half or so off the press.
It's like
So you wanna
VIP
talk
right
about
here, you
bleeding
go.
edge, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the next one is the airport's databases. So, you saw the first one. It'll tell you how many airports it loaded,
Yep.
and based on how many airports it loads, you can tell what database it loaded, whether it's P3D or whether it's 2020, because 2020 is going to have twice as many airports
Oh yeah.
as P3D. But the other thing that I did is I moved the databases. Because they used to be stored in some random... Yeah, it used to be stored in some random folder in your app data / local folder.
Hmm.
And so
TFM settings. Engine
I
1,
moved
minus 0.1%,
them,
13 10
now
pounds thrust.
there's- So
Engine
go
2,
to your
minus 0.1%,
documents.
13 10 pounds thrust.
Go to documents.
Run dialog, type the name notepad, book, documents, documents, items, view
Okay.
list.
Yep, go to documents. Now press T
TFM file 6 of 10.
and you'll find a talking flight monitor folder.
TMDG file, TFM file 6 of 10.
TFM files.
TMDG file 5 of 10. TFM file 6 of 10. Build file 7 of 10.
Nope. There should be a talking flight
737
monitor.
NG options, TFM file 6 of 10. Items view list. TFM 23.9 alpha 628. TFM 23.9 alpha 738. TFM 23.9. TFM 23.9 alpha 6. TFM 23.9 alpha 7.zip. TFM 23.2.2.8. TFM 23.9 alpha 518. TFM 23.9 alpha 628. TFM 23.9 alpha 738. TFM 23.9 alpha 5.zip 508. TFM 23.9 alpha 6.zip 608. TFM 23.9 alpha 7.zip 708.
Yeah, I don't see nothing, bud.
Items view list. TFM file 6 of 10. Build file 7 of 10. 737 NG up. Documents.
So under documents.
MSFS2020 airports 1.
Now
Files 2
this
of 10.
interesting.
Other installer files 3 of 10. P3D installer files 4 of 10.
Yep.
PMDG files 5 of 10. TFM file 6 of PMDG files 5 of 10.
There's PMDG. Oh, that's my own folder.
TFM file 6 of 10.
TFM files. That's the folder I created.
Build file 7 of 10. 737 NG options 9 of 10. FSFO next data 9 of 10. P3D 5 key information. FSFO next 730. Build file 7 of 10. TFM file 6 of 10. PMDG files 5 of 10. P3D installer files 4. Other installer files 3 of 10. Files 2 of 10. MSFS20.
But you got to remember though, this is not installed though. We're running it as. Would that make a difference? Because when you run it,
Yeah, and it still doesn't matter.
TFM settings row 1 column 2 Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0 column sim files column 4 4 ops 29.1.3 profile BBI pilot / the pilot
Once
team
you have
star
two
title notepad column 37
documents
of 7.
folders,
Documents row 1 column 1 of 7. Documents items view list MSFS2020 airports 1 of 10. TFM file 6 of 10.
oh, let me see something.
TFM file 6 of 10. P3D 5 p FSFO mix 7 build 5 TFM 5 TMD 5 P3D other installer files MSF TFM settings dialog announcement CPU number 1 is ready for input checkbox checked.
Does it matter
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0.
where I did my extract? Because I extracted the actual folders in TFM files. I guess that don't matter, does it?
No, it don't matter. Because what it was supposed to do is
Let
go
me
into your
kill it.
documents,
TFM is shutting
your
down.
fucking flight monitor folder.
And let me restart it and see what it...
Run dialog notepad book documents documents items view list MSFS2020 TFM file 6 of 10 items view list TFM 23.9 alpha 5 TFM 23.9 alpha 628 TFM 23.9 alpha 738 items view list data not selected 1 of 57 TFM.depth sound 42 of 50 TFM.dll 43 of 50 TFM.dll.config 40 TFM.x 45 of 57 copy control copy C rename FShares 4 delete delete pop-up window run as administrator raise open enter 1 of 8 run as administrator raise items view list TFM.x 45 of 57 sim support not loaded loading airport database loaded total 41,141 airports current aircraft PMDT 737 900 PMDT house and 739 EB 2022 Microsoft Flight Simulator 1. Sim files column 3 ops 29.1 BVI pilot slash pilot star untitled notepad column TFM 23.9 alpha 7 row 1 column 1 1 Microsoft Flight Simulator 1 sim files column ops 29.1 point BVI pilot star untitled TFM 20 Microsoft Flight Sim files column 3 3 of 6 sim files items view list talking flight monitor 10 of 10 Sim market 9 of 10 talking flight date mod type edit shortcut red only type date mod talking flight monitor 10 of 10 .SDK 7.0.3 TFM 23.9 alpha 7 items view list TFM.x 45 of 57 TFM.log 46 TFM.tdb TFM.w TFMW 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 time zone converter.dl total.dl total.net TFM 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 items view list TFM 20 TFM 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 23.9 alpha Microsoft Flight Simulator folder view list sim files 10 of 15 start window search window talking narrator talking Tom talking Des talking Ben talking points memo talking flight monitor talking clickable land button open in chat edge tab selected all tab apps tab documents tab web tab documents search box edit documents top bin document tab selected documents tab web tab settings tab people tab folders tab photos search box edit folders top bin document tab photos button scroll button collapse spots for it button Microsoft rewards balance button collapse options button open in chat edge clickable heading level 4 results list talking flight monitor file folder talking flight monitor file folder last modified 6 talking flight monitor results list with 1 item last modified 6 30 2023 11:55 p.m. out of list clickable talking flight monitor file folder location clickable C users on OneDrive documents last modified clickable 6 30 2023 11:55 p.m. actions list with 3 items clickable open clickable open file location clickable open clickable out of list clickable 6 30 last modified clickable C users location clickable file folder talking flight monitor search window search box edit search for apps talking flight monitor items view list name split button data not selected 1 of 2 MSFS airports 2 of 2 data 1 of 2
Okay, I did find a folder. Does it got two files
data
in
modified
it?
data 1 of 2
Data
MSFS airports 2 of 2
and MSF airports.
Yes.
Okay, let me see
preview
what
level 2 windows C search box edit search talking address C users got OneDrive documents talking flight monitor toolbar all locations split button search box edit search talking address C users got OneDrive documents talking flight monitor toolbar all locations split button
I put it... How can I fix that? Because it put it under the OneDrive documents.
search box edit address C users got OneDrive documents talking flight monitor toolbar all locations split button search box edit search talking flight monitor
where Windows wants it to be by default. You have to go into the OneDrive app and tell her you have to go into backup options and turn off backup.
Let me do
folder
that
view list sim
real
files 10 of
quick.
15
How do I get to the options for OneDrive?
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1. Folder view list sim
Just type
search window
OneDrive into the start menu and it'll say OneDrive app.
OneDrive
That or
OneDrive
you can right
OneDrive Microsoft
click on it from the system
OneDrive
tray
settings menu.
is probably the better way.
OneDrive settings menu.
untitled personal loading complete clickable banner landmark go to bin on the heading back to bin search level 1 link skip the content button go to bin search landmarks enter your search here clickable search using an image button collapse Microsoft Flight Simulator 1. Start window search box OneDrive on the roof login on the roof download on the roof cloud search settings automatic file downloads privacy settings cloud search settings automatic file on the roof all tabs selected all tab apps tab documents tab web tab settings tab people tab folders tab photos button scroll to right button Microsoft button collapse password button collapse options button open in chat edge clickable results list with 2 items clickable ransomware protection system settings search window search box edit search
What'd you say easier way
Microsoft Flight
was?
Simulator
Because I'm trying to
folder
type
view
it
list
in this time.
Op Studio
Yeah,
15
so you go to your system tray. And you find OneDrive and
system tray list dialog icons privacy apps using network internet volume speakers block 1020 notifications show desktop notification block 10 volumes network privacy apps using your mic show hidden icons privacy apps using your show hidden icons pane dragon desktop list Op Studio 15 pane dragon Start toggle button not pressed. Search toggle button not pressed. Open the next button. Task view toggle button not pressed. One desktop. HP support assistant button HP. Task view toggle button not pressed. One desktop. HP support assistant button HP. Show hidden icons button. Desktop list. Op Studio 815. Taskbar.
Hold on.
Folder view list. Op Studio Page Dragon. Start search. Open the next task. HP. Show default Page Dragon. Start search. Open task view toggle. HP support. Show hidden icons button. Talking flight monitor button 111. Sim brief downloader. FSU IPC. Op Studio button 5 of 11. Op Studio FSU Sim brief talking. Stop chat button 6 of 11. NVDA button 7 of 11. NVIDIA settings 10. Bluetooth devices button 9 of 11. Microsoft Teams button 10 of button 11 of 11. Stop chat button 6 of button 11 of 11. Stop chat talking flight monitor button 1. Show hidden icons. Hide button. Show hidden icons.
It's not.
Microsoft folder view list. Op start window. Search window. Search box edit. Search for apps. Settings. And
What
documents. Scan.
OneDrive is it? ONE or is it a 1?
No, it's O-N-E.
ONE space drive.
OneDrive. OneDrive login.
OneDrive login.
OneDrive Microsoft. OneDrive settings menu.
OneDrive settings menu.
OneDrive settings menu. Search frame. OneDrive settings menu. Search results grouping list with 13 items. Search images. OneDrive settings. Link search images. OneDrive settings. Link search images. OneDrive settings menu. Link search images. OneDrive settings menu. Link search images. OneDrive settings menu. Link search images. OneDrive settings. Link search images. Link search images. OneDrive. Link search images. Link search images. Link search images. OneDrive. Search box edit. Search for apps. Settings and documents. Scan. OneDrive. OneDrive. OneDrive login. OneDrive Microsoft. OneDrive account. OneDrive personal. OneDrive syncing. OneDriver. OneDrive not updated. OneDrive. Bin document. Out of list. Out of group. Tab selected all. Tab apps. Tab documents. Tab web. Tab settings. Tab web. Tab documents. Tab web. Tab settings. Search box edit settings. OneDrive. Bin document. Tab selected settings. Search box edit settings. Bin document. Button open bin chat edge. Tab apps. Tab documents. Tab web. Tab selected settings. Tab selected settings. Tab people. Tab folders. Tab photos. Button scroll to right. Button Microsoft rewards balance. Button collapse password. Button collapse options. Button open bin chat edge. Clickable. Heading no results found for OneDrive. Heading no results found for OneDrive. Heading level. Heading no results found for OneDrive. Search window. Search box edit. Search for apps. Pause.
Options menu. Page 1 of 1.
Unpaused.
Well, anyway, I'll worry about that later.
Talking flight monitor 01 column 205. Ops 29.1.3. BVI pilot slash pilot lounge. Star untitled notepad.
But in
Microsoft
either
Flight Simulator
case,
1.33.
so,
Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, it now puts the databases in Talking Flight Monitor folder in your documents.
So do you need to have
And so it
your
makes it easier to find
your
them.
make runways file? Does it need to be in there, or does it just do it automatically?
No, so you still, for P3D, you still
Do your own folder and documents.
tell it that you want it.
Okay.
Well, so for P3D, you put it under the install folder for P3D.
Right.
And for 2020, you can put the folder anywhere. Yeah, you can put make runways anywhere for 2020.
So, do you
And so now,
set your directory where it created it under Talking Flight Monitor for 2020 instead of?
no, so that's the thing. I also changed the name of those folder paths. It says now P3D make runways output. Or output for P3D, make runways output for P3D, and make runways output for 2020. So those two folders in the settings are your make runways output folders, not the actual database folders.
Okay. So you still do your directory. So the way I did it by selecting the folder I'd done had created, the MSF flight plans. That's what I've got it set to. I guess you can do it. You can still do it that way then. Right.
Yeah, so so like for the P3D make runways location is going to be the P3D install folder.
Right.
Talking flight monitor 01 column 2206.
And
Talking flight monitor. Search box edit. Search talking flight monitor plan.
for output for 2020 is going to be whatever folder you want it to be, as long as the output's there. So the way you've been doing it is fine. It's just I renamed the names of those settings,
Okay.
so
'Cause I
it's
didn't-
not database
Right.
folder path.
So when someone first sets it up, they can do it the way they always did for 2020, and for the way they always did it for P3D.
Mhm.
Even though you got that new folder it puts on your
Mm-hmm.
computer, you don't necessarily got to set your database directory to that new folder. I guess is what I'm asking. you can still use the folder you had.
No, you don't. No. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Use the ones you've had. Because
Okay.
make runways is the database input, and
Right.
TFM
Okay.
generates is the
Talking flight monitor.
output.
Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of
Folder view
this
list.
OneDrive. There's gotta be a way to disable that daggone thing.
Mike, folder view list, op studio 8 of
Yeah, there's a way. It's
Start window,
complicated.
search box edit, search for apps, setting. Device manager, drive. Defragment and optimize drives, drive. Check for updates, creator recovery drive, storage settings, autoplay settings, USB settings, drive, drive. All tabs selected, find the most relevant results. Tab selected all, tab apps, tab documents, tab web, tab settings, tab people, tab folders, tab photos. Button scroll to right, button Microsoft Word, button collapse top, button open, clickable recovery drive, app. Button see more information, device manager, control panel. Button see more information, find results in apps, group and clickable, edit, find results in apps, list with 1 items. Button see more information, right out of list out of group and find results in settings, group and clickable, find results in settings, list with 5 items. Check for updates. Button see more info, creator recovery drive. Button see more information, blank. Storage settings. Button see more information, right arrow. Storage settings. Springfield Gardens, New York. Settings window, list temporary files, 0 bytes / 430, show more categories link. List temporary files, 900. Storage management group, show more categories link. List installed apps, 305 GB / 434 system button 1 of 2. Level 1 system 1 of 11.
Okay, I'll work on that
Microsoft Flight
later.
Simulator 1.
That's not a big deal.
Talking flight monitor 1 column 2, talking flight monitor, search box edit, search talking flight monitor blank.
It put
Address,
it
C, users got OneDrive documents, talking flight monitor toolbar, all locations split button. Search box edit, search talking address, C, users got OneDrive documents, talking flight monitor toolbar, all locations split button. Search box edit, address, C, users got OneDrive documents, talking flight monitor toolbar, all locations split button.
What
Search box edit,
says
search address, C, users got OneDrive documents, talking flight monitor toolbar, all locations split button. Search box address, C, users got OneDrive documents, talking flight monitor toolbar, all locations split button.
Basically, if you have OneDrive backup turned on, then it's going to create a second documents folder that links to your OneDrive.
Talking flight monitor. Microsoft
Yeah.
Flight Simulator 1.33. Home, items view list, quick access group index, preview, home 1 of 13, search box edit, search home blank. Preview, home 1 level 2 windows, C, collect. Items view list, $size reset not selected 1 of 17. User force, items view list, stop 3 of 3. Items view list, documents 4 of 14. Downloads 5 of 4.
So
Document
you
contacts
might
3 of 14.
think you're
Documents 4 of
putting
14.
things in your documents
OneDrive 9 of 14.
but you're really not.
Save games 10 of 14. OneDrive 9 of 14.
Here's OneDrive.
Cut T control plus copy sequence, rename MF, delete pop up window, open a new tab, T2, open enter 1 of 10. Open a new window, pin to quick access, pin to start T5, compress the zip files, copy of path A control, properties are alt plus enter, open in terminal T9 of show more options, W, cut T control plus X pop up window. Cut T control plus X pop up window, open in terminal T9 of 10. Properties are alt plus enter, copy of path A compress the pin to start, pin to quick, open a new tab, T, open enter 1 of delete 4 rename MF to 3 of copy C control plus cut T control plus X pop up window, show more options, W, 10 of 10. Start, items view list, OneDrive 9 of 14. Open O. Open a new tab T. Open a new window E. Pin to quick access Q. Scan with Microsoft to give access to submenu store previous version included library sub scan. Shred. Pin to start T. Copy of data. Send to submenu F T. Copy C. Create shortcut S. Delete T. Rename M. Properties R. Open O. Open a new tab T.
Yeah, I
Start,
see
item.
it though.
Save
It's
modified
right
edit. OneDrive 9
here.
of 14. Items view list. Desktop not selected 1 of 3. Documents 2 of 3. Pictures 3 of 3.
See, there's the desktops,
Documents 2 of desktop 1 of 3.
Basically, OneDrive's just a
Documents 2
backup.
of desktop 1 of 3. Items view list. Sim files not selected 1 of 5. Selected. A of game Microsoft
Yeah,
Flight Simulator 3 of 5.
Because everything that I see on my desktop
Items view list. Desktop 1.
is under OneDrive as
Documents 2
well.
of 3. Pictures 3 of 3. Documents 2 of 3. Items view list. Time connect not selected 1 of 12.
Yep.
FS Airlines 2 of 12. FSUI PCs. FSUI PCs. Max 5 of 12. With default 6 of. Prepar 3 DV5 add-on 7. MCA default 6 of 12. Prepar 3 DV5. Sound recordings 9 of. Talking flight monitor 10 of 12. Amanda's order information. What TFM was done for me. .mp. Amanda's order information. Save modified edits. Amanda's order information.
Later,
Microsoft Flight
it's
Simulator.
got stuff in there I don't want there. You know how it is. That's why people, I guess, turn off OneDrive because it's a pain in the butt.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8. Op
Anyways,
29.1.3 profile. EVI pilot / pilot lounge team talk star untitled notepad. TFM settings column 2505.
this is great.
TFM settings dialog. Category preview level 1 general 1 of 10. Reset the defaults button F2. Category field name username.
Yeah,
Category
and
preview
as a
general 1 of output
result
2 of 10 sound
of
percent timing
doing
airports 7 of 10 level 1 airports database 6 of 10 level 1 aircraft 7 of 10 level 1.
Over to our own folder.
Reset the defaults button F2. Clear search for panel cancel button. OK button. Announcement CPU number 3 is ready for input checkbox checked.
TFM was actually loading P3D's database for 2020. So it would build the database for 2020 and then load the one for P3D.
Yeah, so with
So now that we have them separated and
it'll make it easier to know what's going on.
yeah, so now that now that they're separated, then we
TFM
can
settings. OK button. Cancel the search. Reset the defaults button F2. Clear search results button F. Reset the category preview automatically announced category preview aircraft set airports timing sound output gen. Output general 1 of geoname username. Edit Indiana 2020. Minmax API key. Edit Mario UHS. Geoname username. Category preview. General 1 of output 2 of 10 level 1. Sound 3 of 10 level 1. Sim 4 of 10 level 1. Timing 5 of Sim sound 3 of 10 level. Play startup sound. Play shutdown sound. Checkbox not checked. Play startup sound. Checkbox not. Category preview. Sim 4 of 10 level 1. Timing 5 of 10 level 1. Airports database 6 of 10 level 1. Aircraft 7 of 10 level 1. Airports database 6 of make runways output for P3D edit. None selected. Browse button.
Okay, obviously that goes somewhere.
Select folder dialog. Folder. Edit selected. None selected. Items view list. Name split button. Collect. Preview level 2 windows.
So that would
Items
go
view list. $size reset not selected 1 of 16.
Let's see.
First log 8 of 16. Program files 9 of 16. Items view list. Lockheed Martin 7 of 28. Prepar 3 DV5 not selected 1 of selected.
P3D5.
Items view list. Auto gen not selected 1 of 22.
That's where that
Name split button.
is.
Select folder. Edit selected 3 3 DV. Select folder button. Press
Select
TFM settings
folder.
dialog. Browse button. Make runways output for MSFS edit C. User stock documents MSFS 2020 airports. Browse button. Make runways output for MSFS edit C. User stock documents MSFS 2020 airports. Browse button. Build MSFS database button U. OK button. Build MSFS database.
Go to database again. Now that I got both directories, it builds
If dialog
both
load airports
of them,
database from C. User stock OneDrive documents stock in flight monitor MSFS airports. OK button.
right?
Press TFM settings dialog. Build MSFS database button U. Browse button. Make runways output for
Yeah,
MSFS
so
browse button.
now what happens
Make runways output for P3D edit C. Program files Lockheed Martin 3
when you
3DV5.
start TFM.
Category preview level 1. Make runways output for P3D edit browse button. Make runways output for MSF browse button. Build MSFS database button U. OK button.
The 2021.
Cancel button. OK button.
Because I only see one build button, but when you hit that, it does it for both P3D.
It does it for whatever sim you have opened at the yeah,
Okay, so
whatever
I
you
just
have
wouldn't do
open
that
at the
until I
time.
have P3D open. Okay,
Cancel button. OK button. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0.
that
Yeah, so
makes
you'd
sense.
open P3D, get into a
SimGroup downloader.
cockpit,
Right click for options button 1 of 10. SimGroup support not loaded.
and then you would
Loading airport
press
database.
the
Airports
build
database loaded.
button.
Total 41,141 airports. Current aircraft. PMDG 737 RPMD.
And it will tell you build P3D
41,140.
database or build.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.8.0. Engine 1, minus 0.1%, 13 10 pounds thrust. Engine 2, minus 0.1%, 13 10 pounds thrust. Flaps 5.
Okay. That's great, man. This is good stuff, you guys. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead.
Folder view list. Ops suit. Simming files 10 of 5. Simming files. Flaps 10. Restream chat 7 of 10.
We'll open up the restream chat in case we got any
Restream chat row 1 column 1. Restream chat. Edit clickable. Clickable. Clickable.
Anybody
Type
got
message.
questions?
Clickable menu. Disable button. Enable button.
Now's the time that you can throw questions
Restream chat.
as long as it's reasonable. Okay, so
Simming files row 1 column 2 2 of 6. Simming files.
everybody's with us right now
Simming
at
files.
this time of night.
10:35 p.m. Simming files.
You know,
State modified.
if you
Restream
have
chat
a
7.
question, we'll keep the chat open just for a few minutes here.
Simming files. Restream chat document. Clickable menu button sub menu.
Otherwise,
Restream chat.
you know,
Microsoft Flight
just,
Simulator 1.33. Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.33.
comments or you can go to Talking Flight Monitor, send questions there as well. But these latest updates we've been getting pushed through are some really big stuff. Like, for example, and I'm going to shut the aircraft down because I'm not using it.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3.
Right.
95
I
PASL.
think I can shut it down.
Speed brake arm light off. Engine number 1 reverser light on. Engine number 2 reverser light on.
I thought Control Shift F1 would do it, but that didn't do it, did it?
Just go load panel state and then pull dark GPU. It'll shut it down.
Oh yeah, what am I thinking? Duh. Just, yeah.
Fuel dialog FMC display fuel total LPSGW. Fuel. Menu. Land 1, land 2, land 3 PM 4. Setup grader.
I'm
PMDG
using
setup.
the second CD.
Startup state 4. Cold start 2. Startup 3. 4. Cold start 2. Colon. Cold start 2. O L D D A R A G T U. Land 5. Land 4. Startup 3. Startup 4. Cold start 2.
Let's do 4.
Startup state 4. Cold start 2. Startup 3. Land 2. Less option state load grader. Panel 2. Less option state load grader. Load panel state 1. Land 2. Less apron. Land 1. Less approach.
I wonder why 2020 did that with the, or PMDG's got
Low
these
panel state
different
1/3.
ones you
Land.
can do now,
1.
like
Less approach.
you can put it in approach,
Land 2. Less apron.
apron,
Land.
Oh,
Apron. P A P R O N space.
apron, yeah.
what is apron? I wonder what that is.
Land. 3. Less apron on. Land.
Then there's the apron long.
3. Land. 4. Less climb.
Even
Yeah,
a
I don't
climb,
know.
like, what would be different about climb from, well, I guess you'd have, the throttle would be full,
Land.
wouldn't it?
5. Less cold start. 6. Less return.
Mm-hmm.
Load panel state 5. Less runway. Land 4. Less hammer. Land 3. Less final.
Then there's a
Land 4. Less hammer.
hanger. Well, wouldn't that be the same as code and dark?
Land 4. Less hammer. Land 3. Less final.
I believe so, yeah.
Land
There's no
2, let's
cover
cruise.
whatsoever.
There's final.
Land 1. Less cold start 2.
Cruise.
Land 2. Less cruise. 3. Land 4. Less hammer. Land 5. Less runway. Land 4. Less hammer.
Let's do hanger and just see.
CPU number 2 execute key available.
Here we go.
Number 1 ignition off. Number 2 ignition off. Number 1 fuel valve closed. Number 2 fuel valve closed. Fifth off. 4.39. Navigation off. Beacon off.
Yeah, it just shuts everything off. Like, why did
MCP
they?
power off.
I don't know. MCP power is off.
CPU not powered.
All right.
Microsoft Flight Simulator.
There, now I can hear you guys. So we are sitting
KC-25 with KJFK.
at the gate anyways.
But you know, it's
these are big things. I mean, being able, you know, like you said, Andy, you know, to have the ability to do the shared cockpit and it actually be not so frustrating, because the other one did work, but it was really iffy because, again, like if me and Andy did a shared cockpit with the other program, the older one, he could not load his FS Tramp, because if he loads FS Tramp and I load FS Tramp, it argues with each other pretty much. It says, hey, wait, I got control. No, I got control. You know, so the little bitty things made such a big difference. But now with this new program, your controls, by the way, you guys will notice there's actually, it puts the folder inside of your Microsoft settings there as well. I seen it earlier, which I guess it would, because it's going to put your settings and stuff, and I think there's other stuff you can do with your controls. But here's something that I think is really kind of cool, and I don't know why you would want to do this, but did you know that you can put, let's say we're on the server and me and Andy's doing a flight. Do you know that it will support up to 100 people, passengers? So you could technically have 98 other people in that same airplane. I'll tell you where this is going to come in handy. And Andy, you'd probably agree as soon as I... Okay, so you know how we're going to be doing the thing once we're waiting on a few people to get their computers situated, and then we're going to do some flight stuff, training and stuff. This would work really good for training, because you could have those who you were training come into the same cockpit, and they can see exactly what you're doing to show, you know, so that they understand what to do. It's no longer me having to worry about, well, Andy, can you hear my computer? Can you hear it? Can you see what it's saying on the CDU? Can you hear it going through? Now it's just connect, bam, now you're going to see it. You're going to hear it. And I think that's why Microsoft might have, or not Microsoft, but whoever, I don't know who's the developer of your controls, but I would say they did that for training purposes, for when there's people actually training or being trained. I can't think of any other.
probably.
You know, because are you really going to have 70 people connecting to you just as passengers looking out a window? I doubt it. I doubt it. But huge stuff. This is, it just keeps getting better and better, and to me it's like these things that's coming across now are coming quick. You know, not saying to Andy, you know,
remember,
they got a lot of work ahead of them, but I'm just saying, like, you know. What's that, Andy? Go ahead.
but you remember what we said at the very beginning when we started this whole upgrade to a new UI library and .NET 7, and things are going to come faster.
Yeah, and they are.
It's easier to do.
Yeah, and they are coming. They're coming as quick as you can spit. I mean, really. Just like I did. No, it's amazing. I think that when it comes to the accessibility that's being delivered, I think we are a very blessed community. I really do. Now, yeah, there's a lot of other airplanes that we can't fly yet. but the options are looking very positive that a lot of them planes might be flyable with TFM. Not AI. No, TFM. So, big things are happening, and along with other developers, Microsoft's been working hard to bring accessibility, and other developers are trying to work with TFM. We also got to throw a big thank you to the developer of the TFM, because without them, without Andy and Jason putting their fingers on the keyboard and putting in all this stuff, we'd still be flying with FS Tramp. And being
I was
aggravated.
just gonna say, if TFM wasn't around, where would everybody be?
FS Tramp was.
Springfield Gardens, New York, United States. 1.6
If you
nautical miles,
think
48
about
degrees,
it, there
Eastern
was
Standard Time.
a lot of times that it would turn into a stressful flight, because you was never sure about
I
landing.
wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, even today, sometimes I tell people that, hopefully this flight goes well, because I don't know how it's going to go. But that's normal things that could happen. Like this last flight I tried to do, it was an RNAV, and things just didn't go the way, which was my fault, because I didn't go by the flight plan for the transition. Well, there was no transition. I tried to pick a different one, thinking it'd make it better. Well, it didn't. So things still happen, but it's nice to be able to fly without so much stress over top of you.
Mm-hmm.
So, future-wise, Andy, talk to us about anything that might be something that you do want to talk about, like other things that maybe to expect, ideas, not stuff that's coming out necessarily, but things that you as a developer would like to see. What would you like to see? What is something that you would like as a feature, but it's not there yet? Like something that you're like, man, if I can figure out how to do that, we're going to do it. Do you have anything on your mind that you ponder about, or you try to do a little research about, or...
Well, there's one thing, look around mode.
Okay, where you can look around at the different areas around you?
So you can, so it would basically be, you can tell how far you are going to, how long before you leave your current area. So let's say you're flying over Dallas, and you say, I want to know how far I got before I leave Dallas in the current direction that I'm headed. Then you could turn on look around mode, and you could see kind of like what Eurofly does.
So then you could tell listeners, okay, guys, we're going to be virtual passengers. We'll be out of Dallas in about an hour and 10 minutes, or,
Yep.
that's golden.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you, sorry, there's a train, I know, in the background. I'm outside with the dog. What is the biggest issue with that as a programmer, as a developer, that's making it complicated to bring that delivery?
Well, the complicated part is one of the things that we have to do is not only just say, okay, you're going to leave Dallas in 135 miles, but what is the next area coming up?
Oh.
So for an example, in Eurofly, it will say something like Michigan in 45 miles.
Okay, so kind of like when I do all these flights from Indianapolis, and I'm going through Indiana, and I'm like, man, I wonder where I wonder if I'm going to go through Scottsburg, and if I do, like, I wonder how far, because I don't really know if I'm going to go over top of Scottsburg, but I always got to use right bracket C and right bracket shift C, and I can really, sometimes I can catch us going over it if I hit it at the right time, but other times I can't. So if this was a feature, I would know, hey, we're going to be over Scottsburg in 20 minutes. Or wherever, right? Same idea, right?
Yep.
You know, and what I wish, and this is me speaking, I want to make that for a record, this is not the developer speaking. This is me. My words. I wish that the developer of FS Tramp, sorry, I got my tongues all twisted today. I wish that the developer of FS Tramp would be a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little more considerable. Because I'm sure there's things, not FS Tramp, I'm sorry, Eurofly. I wish that he'd be a little more considerable and say, yeah, this is how you could do this to get that information. Try this, Andy. Or you just need to do this, Andy. I understand Eurofly is not freeware. Wait. Or is it? No, it's not open source, is it? No.
Well, it's freeware. It's not open source.
But it's not open source. Because, I mean, if he was a little more considerable, it could be helpful to you, right? Like if he could, say, hey, this is what you need to do that. Or do you think what he knows would not be? Or you think it's more than that? It's more than just knowing what he's doing. Well, yeah, there is. Because your TFM's different. And I get that.
Well, there's a huge difference because you're talking about making geospatial environments accessible for print disabled people. I mean, auditory output and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It's in a sense modeling real world systems, so it's got to pay attention to different things like cities or counties and countries and
question from
all that stuff. And
Zachary on Facebook.
And
go ahead and finish, Andy, and I'll ask you the question.
And so, like, Eurofly, not discounting you, Stefan, but it doesn't consider anything but the larger areas, like cities or states or countries.
Right. Speaking of Eurofly, there is an update coming up, but it's only going to be it's not going to be in English yet. Speaking of that, I don't know if anybody knew that or not, but there is an update coming.
I've heard something about it.
Yeah, but it's not going to be in English.
Yeah, I heard a little bit.
So, that sucks. But I guess it's got to come out in that first, and then they make it English after that. I don't know.
Yeah, they have to translate it because he doesn't really know English all that well.
Okay, so Zachary from good old San Francisco. Zachary, thanks for jumping in on the Facebook side of it. I appreciate it, my friend. Zachary says, hey, I'm not visually impaired, but I've been keeping an eye on the channel. I've watched your channel along with 2 or 3 other people that are blind that fly. This Declan character, as well as the TFM on YouTube. My question, out of curiosity, when it comes to shared cockpit, maybe at some point couldn't you make TFM connect to other TFM users just like a shared cockpit? I'm not a programmer, so don't laugh at me. I'm just asking, he says. Basically, I think what he's saying,
okay.
Could you make TFM a shared cockpit at the same time without using your controls? I think is what he's saying.
You can, but it's technically you can, because anything in programming is possible. but
Why?
that is not TFM's job or focus.
Yeah, you're going beyond just making something accessible. You're talking about features that's beyond what the goal of TFM is, technically, I guess.
Yep. TFM is not designed to be a shared cockpit. There's already things out there for that. We've already accommodated most of them.
Oh, yeah,
So,
by a long shot. Yeah, for
um,
sure. For sure.
So, yeah, TFM is an accessibility interface to simulators and aircraft, not a shared cockpit.
Oh, George. George says, I give everybody in the blind community a thumbs up, and I'm throwing both hands up for the developers. You guys have done an amazing job. What people need to realize in the sighted world is that these are you did a typo there, George, but I won't hold you responsible for that. What you guys need to
Springfield Gardens, New York,
realize
United
in the
States. Temperature
sighted
6 nautical miles,
world
48 degrees.
is a lot of this stuff that they are doing is the same exact things that we do as a pilot. I'm not saying that they could jump inside of a 737 and take off, but I'm just trying to get the sighted community to understand that they are doing the same thing that we do as a or as a sighted pilot or as a sighted simmer. Give credit where credit is due. I won't repeat that word, George, but you people, I'll just say you people that are bullheaded. Because some people will make comments and thanks for blocking him, George.
Yeah.
That was a spammer that said that, Zachary. Hey, thanks for the question though, Zachary, because you're just helping us out.
Yep.
Tiffany says, Johnny, I've been watching you for a very long time since you've been flying. Even when you went through just beginning to learn how to fly with ATC, I think the program's called VATSIM, but if I'm wrong, I apologize. You guys have came a long ways, and TFM has done so much, and you guys keep on bringing out more stuff to do. She said, waiting for her to finish here. Okay, here comes their message. I've been flying in the Bonanza for the last 2 years, and there's nothing like flying, but at the same time, being in the sim, I can remember when we were pretty much grounded, and the freedom that you get just being able to jump in the sim and fly is also amazing. It's not exactly the same, but it's amazing. So I wanted to give you guys a congratulations to the developers of TFM for giving the ability to fly in such a sophisticated airplane. Talking about PMDG, I guess. Thanks, Tiff. I appreciate it. She's been watching for a long time. We've came a long ways, you guys. We have came such a long, long ways. And it seems like it's been a long time, but Andy, if you look at the time between when you really started putting the fingernails down on the keyboard and getting things rolling, what's it been, 3 years? Almost 3 years. That's not really...
Yeah, it'll be 3 years on 3 years and a couple of weeks.
I mean, wouldn't you say as a programmer, wouldn't you say, though, that, like, 3 years is a long time, but it's not at the same time. As much as you've done, I guess is what I'm saying. We've done so much in 3 years. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now remember.
I mean, if you're talking about...
Well, remember, Andy, when we first started talking about how it'd be nice to fly in payware. I remember those conversations. And now we're having a conversation about flying in other payware. So come on, people. We know where this is probably going to end up going. Just saying, we will probably be flying in that Neo Airbus. I really think we will be. I think it's going to take time, for sure, but
We'll eventually be in it.
yeah, I think so. I've not been trying to fly it to use the online thing because I know there's still things that you need that the online doesn't really help us with. I can't remember if AI can fly that Neo, the other one that you got to download. Can it? I don't think AI can fly the Livewire. The other one, can it?
No.
It sure is a
No.
nice
The
airplane.
fly-by-wire? No.
Yeah. You know, another amazing one that'd be fun to fly if we ever get to, and that's the 380, the A380. That'd be a fun one to fly.
They're working on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're working on it.
that'd sure
And
be
when
something. wouldn't it?
when we asked them, they said, well, when we asked them about it, they basically said, if you can support the Neo, then you'll be able to support the 380.
Yeah, I mean, we've came. I don't know. I think if they come out, that we can fly that one. That is a big airplane, and it's going to have stuff that we've never seen. I guarantee you that. Compared to the CDU that we got now, the FMC we got now, there's going to be stuff in that we're going to be like, what in the world? So, cool stuff. Cool stuff.
But even if you think about the new stuff, so since we started upgrading to .NET 7, if you look at what we have so far, and then turn around and look back at the current release, what would you say?
If we look at what we got now compared to the beginning of TFM, is that what you're...
No. So if you look at TFM now,
Okay.
and its progress towards
with
.NET
the
7.
the beta one that we're doing.
So if you look at what we got in the alpha versions,
or
and
alpha,
then compare it to the current release,
it's huge. It's huge. Absolutely huge, man. Like, yeah. Because you're not doing some of the stuff.
doesn't it? So like what we have of the panels so far and the FMC, and if you go back and look at the current release, doesn't it seem like it's really old?
It does. It does because of
This feels old. It feels clunky.
Yeah. Because of how much better that it is with Net 7. Net 7 delivers a huge improvement. It does.
Oh
you
yeah.
know. I mean, you see what I fly with now. Even with the risk of it being where it doesn't, I can't do everything with it. You see what I fly with, even when we're not doing a sneak peek. I'm flying with the Net 7 because of how much better that it is. And I know some people probably think, well, you suck. Well, you guys can too. We're just saying that, there's nothing guaranteed. But I like it that much. The differences in using this and using the release version, it's like going back to an old style or something. Because if you remember, Andy, I said I can't wait until you got it far enough where I can at least fly with it. And you probably already knew. You done knew. We've been doing this for long enough now, you done knew once it was flyable, he's flying with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, you know, I'm guilty too.
so, Tino, not joined the BVI community yet, but I am a blind simmer, and I wanted to just ask a question that's a little off topic, but it's still on the same topic with TFM. Yeah, go ahead. Whatever you got. So while I'm waiting because Facebook sometimes takes a minute. I mean, we've came a long ways, and being able to fly with, this is, to me, it's a lot better. A lot better.
You remember when we first started out, and it was the Python version.
Oh,
Springfield Gardens, New York,
gosh.
United States.
And all
1.6
you
nautical miles,
could
48
do
degrees.
was speed, Mach speed, altitude, vertical speed, and your comms.
Yeah.
And that was it.
You couldn't do
Nearest
nothing else.
city probably, but that was it.
Yes,
You
that
couldn't
was
do anything.
all. My question was based on the P3D and using TFM on P3D 4 or 5, what have you. But my question was about the weather. Is there any work being done on the weather programming for TFM? Just curious, not throwing any bad sticks at anybody or saying anything negative. I was just curious if there was any work being done with weather. I can probably answer that, but I'll let Andy answer it.
Right now, at the absolute minute, no. We do have plans on taking the Weather Center and putting it into .NET 7, of course. Yeah, keep in mind, though, it's not available for 2020.
Right.
And
Right.
is not going to be worked on in P3D6.
Well, and the nice thing about 2020, another bonus, I guess, another plus, one, the PMDG planes fly so much better. But two is, at least with 2020, we can get the weather. I use right bracket I and right bracket O, and that's enough for me. As long as I know what the wind is, I know what the temperature is, because obviously if you get below minus 45, you want your anti-ice to be on. If you got wind gusts, above, if you got wind that's 10 knots or faster, you'd want to take off a flaps 10 or flaps 15, depending on how fast. That's critical stuff to me. And I mean, I wish we had a way to get around bad weather. For example, I did a flight the other day, and if there had been a way, I could have probably avoided going through some really bad storms. But because I'm such a pro at getting the dirty end of the stick, I went through the very heart of that storm, and it was a rough ride, man, all the way through. But if you don't know where to go, why go? Because someone's kept telling me on the live stream, go around it, go around. Listen, if you don't know where to go to avoid the storm, what difference does it matter what heading I put in? Because then, now you're flying off of the waypoint list, and you're trying to guess, okay, well, I was flying at 0 degrees, so I'm going to turn to 70 for 40 minutes and then turn back to 0. Well, you might go into even worse storms. Who knows? So we just can't. We have no way to. And that's not something that Andy can do to fix. I'm just saying it would be nice to be able to vector around storms. However, Beyond ATC is right around the corner. And that, I believe, would be something that will
Mhm.
put you around them storms. You know, get you away from them, rather. Vector
Mhm.
you. So, good stuff, man. I'm really excited about Beyond ATC. What are your thoughts about that, Andy?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it does. I mean, it looks like it's going to be better than any of the other ones that I've seen.
And very
And
simple to
so
use.
yeah, we're just waiting on him.
Very
Yep,
simple to
we're just
use.
waiting on him. You put in your SimBrief ID. Yep, basically you put in your SimBrief ID, hit the go button, and there you go.
So you don't even got to add your flight plan to it because you already got your flight plan in your sim.
Nope.
Or you already got it loaded in your CDU
Well,
or
yeah,
FMC.
and well, that and Beyond ATC is gonna pull the weather and all that stuff from your flight from SimBrief.
That's beautiful.
That's why it wants your SimBrief ID.
Um, Not to get on this topic real big because I know it's something you're not working on right now. But that is SimBrief. What is the latest on that as far as, have you just not really focused on it at all, or is there something that you're trying to figure out that's, you know, holding you up from moving further into SimBrief? What is the that and VATSIM / VATSIM, because I know you got that in there too. Or no, you took that out, didn't you? VATSIM you took out, I think.
Yeah,
So
we took VATSIM
okay, so
out. Yeah.
SimBrief. Let's
Yeah.
just talk SimBrief then. What is the story behind that? Where are we going with SimBrief in the future?
So at the minute we're not working on it because we need to get the 37 done.
Buttoned up,
And
yeah.
these other things are coming up, like the 2 FMCs and the database fixes here and some other fixes there along the
Right.
way because, you know, they're critical issues that people are bringing up that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
And so, along with fixing those, we're upgrading the 737, and so once that is done,
Okay.
then we can start working on other things like the Weather Center and the SimBrief and stuff like that. But right now, the biggest project aside from the 37 is getting settings in order because they're
Right.
kind of scrambled up and haphazard right now.
Kevin said, this isn't a question about TFM,
But
but
believe me, when
yeah, go ahead.
But believe me, hold up. But believe me, when SimBrief comes out, it's going to be really cool because
Mhm.
you'll get the ability to have the waypoints will tell you what city or county or state or country they're over.
Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. Kevin says, this is not about TFM necessarily, but just looking for some advice. Not sure what to do about this situation. Someone got into my VATSIM account, and now I can't access any of it. They got my ID and my password. So what do I do to fix this? Do I create a new VATSIM? Or should I contact VATSIM and let them know what happened?
Well, we're not VATSIM people or anything.
Yeah, I
will tell
can't
you,
answer
get a
that.
hold of their admins.
Yeah. I will tell you, you don't want to just create a new VATSIM and forget about the one that got stolen, because they could be using your ID, your account, and cause problems, and then it fall back on you. So I would be getting a hold of VATSIM.
So just get a hold of a supervisor or something.
Yeah, because they can help you, and they will help you. They're really really good people. They're very supportive. So yeah, hopefully you can figure that out. So we don't have no other answers for that. Not going to speak for them, and you
Nope.
know, so.
Nope. Nope.
Tiff. Oh, Tiff again. This is so cool what you guys are doing. I love the live stream, love the videos. Even on bad days when videos don't go the way you plan, it's always nice watching your streams. You guys are always positive, and you make jokes out of some of the worst situations that you run into, and it just cracks me up watching some of these videos because I know I would be cussing, yelling, and screaming if I ran into problems like you guys have had sometimes. LOL. Keep the videos coming, guys. You guys are great. Thanks, Tiff. We appreciate it. We try. That's what I say. I don't care that. I mean, I do care if I finish a video. But if it doesn't finish, so what? Like, what do you do about it? You know, you don't do a,
Springfield Gardens, New York, United States.
a
1.6 nautical miles.
apology letter that's 5 pages long. Why did I have to end my live stream earlier? Why didn't the flight work out? It's just part of simming. It's just part of it. It's just the way it goes.
Yep.
So, but guys, it's
Restream chat
been
row 1 column 2
great.
restream chat document.
Thanks for all the
Microsoft
questions
Flight Simulator 1.
and comments.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.3.
Again, if you
Ops
want to
29.1.3. Ops 59.
contact Andy about anything, maybe you got a question. Again, no support for this stuff here because, again, you use it. It's at your own choice, your own risk. Something happens to your computer. TFM is not responsible. We're not responsible. But, you know,
Nope.
I think for the most part, if it messes up, the most you got to do is just restart your flight or restart TFM. I mean, I don't think it's going to do that horrible, but we still put it out there because you never know, and we don't want to be held responsible, and we won't be held responsible. So,
Yep. Right.
the other thing, again, like Jason said, you know, when we did the podcast, if somebody out there has got anything to contribute, maybe you're a programmer, contact them. Let them know who you are and maybe what you got or what you could help with. I'm sure Andy and Jason would appreciate any extra hands that they could get because it's a lot.
Yep.
It is a lot. And,
Yep.
you know, so
We can't. One word of advice: we can't grant full access to the source code if you want to contribute source code, but we can take pull requests.
right. Yeah, because obviously some of the stuff, you know, like Jason said, you know, if it's something that'll help, you know, contact them, submit what you got, or submit your, you know, whatever. They're not saying nobody else can ever dive in and help out a little, you know. So, but I think
Yep.
for what you guys have done so far, you've came a long ways with there only being 2 people working on it. But, you know, or maybe you got another add-on. Maybe you're a programmer and you got your own add-on, and maybe you want to share with them that, hey, I've got this add-on and this is what we could do to make it work together. You know, stuff like that. I like seeing developers coming closer together, kind of like, you know, like you were saying, Andy, about, you know, with VATSIM and stuff, you know, how, because obviously you guys had a conversation, right, at the sim, at the expo.
Yep.
And, you know, coming together is just improvement. It really is. So, guys, we appreciate all of you. I'm sure there's going to be another sneak peek. Because this guy here, he's keeping me on the ledge. I'm telling you. I get back on top of the roof and I just fall right back off again because he throws another big feature at me. I'm like, man. Just as soon as I get steady, it's time to go again, Johnny. Here we go. So, guys, I'm going to try to do a flight here a little bit later. We're going to go from JFK to Atlanta. I was doing it earlier, and I used the freaking AI to try to do pushback. Well, because of Aviatype, you got to have damage on. Well, I had damage on, and the AI crashed me into somebody or something. So, not going to use them to try to do taxi. Declan can make. Well, you can't. If you don't have damage on, then I'm sure AI can get you where you're supposed to be. But otherwise, yeah, not a good idea. So,
Ops 29.1.
guys,
Start virtual
it's been
camera check. Start
great.
recording check. Stop streaming check. Box checked.
I
Start recording check. Box not
appreciate
checked.
every
Stop
one
streaming
of
check.
you
Box.
guys. Be sure, if you're not subscribed to the channel, tap on the subscribe button. Join us here at BVI Pilots. Make sure you go and check out TalkingFlightMonitor.net. Is it dot? No, .com. Sorry.
.com.
TalkingFlightMonitor.com.
Yeah.
Also the blog page, which is TalkingFlightMonitor.com/blog. Right? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
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 You know, go and add them to your favorites. You know, keep updated with the websites. Again, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Set your notifications always so you're notified each and every time Andy throws me off the edge of the roof for another sneak peek. No, just kidding. Set your notifications always so when we do new videos, go live, all that good stuff, you'll be notified because YouTube is good at messing up notifications. So make sure you set those. We're at 114 now. Not bad. Not bad. We're slowly gaining. We're slowly rising up in the world. It takes time, especially for the kind of community we are. It definitely takes hard work and a lot of videos and being consistent. So, Andy, I appreciate you coming on to a live stream with me. I enjoy doing the sneak peeks with you. And for everybody else, have a good day, a good night, wherever you might be. Declan, if you're listening, get with me if you want to do that flight here soon, and we will do that. Like I said, if not, if me and Declan can't get together, then maybe me and Andy will figure out something. But we'll keep you updated. We'll keep you updated about the sneak peeks. I'm sure if there's any big announcements, you can more than likely believe you're going to see it in the blog as well, because Andy's going to probably put, anything big to happen, he goes in the blog. He puts everything in there. And I try to update Twitter, but I'm one person with 1,000 things going on. So, y'all take care. Keep the blue skies up, and we'll talk to you soon.